I know you love earning travel rewards and cash back, and that's why you're going to love Rakuten. With Rakuten, you can earn cash back on everything you need to book your dream trip, hotels, flights, rental cars, experiences, and more, while still booking through your favorite travel sites. And don't worry, cash back can be earned on top of earning the credit card points and the hotel and airline loyalty points that matter most to you, depending on how you make your booking. Plus, with Rakuten, you can also earn cash back on groceries and other purchases like electronics, pet supplies, and more. And the best part, you can join today for free and start earning cash back on top of your travel rewards. Go to Rakuten.com or get the app. That's Rakuten, Rakuten. Rakuten, the most rewarding way to shop.
This episode is brought to you by TaxAct. Don't do your taxes alone. Join TaxAct's National Admin Night. Admin nights are social gatherings for getting through your to-do list. So get ready for a night of fun, finding deductions, and filing taxes with TaxAct, where you can file your federal and state return for just $49 through April 8. Let's get together and get them over with. Visit taxact.com/admin-night for details.
Everyone listening to this should put on their life plan to do at least a 2 or 3 month trip somewhere as soon as you can. There will always be work. Your company will hire you back. Another company will hire when you come back from this trip. But put a plan in motion, get a little saving going, start researching it, thinking about a long trip solo, with your partner, with your kids. Put it on your books. Don't put it off, because that style of travel, the way you will meet people and see a destination, is unlike any trip. I don't care how beautiful your previous trips have been. It will be a different style of travel that you will become addicted to. And you will, even if you only do it once for 2 months, you will be such a better person for seeing the world slowly.
The joy of travel is in the unexpected, and that's a real leap for a lot of people. But once you take it, you're like, this is the way to go. It's much more relaxing. You're not worried about like always catching that next thing and being on time. It's like, the joy of just being in the moment is much easier to achieve.
That is today's guests and my friends, Mike and Anne Howard, who are famously on the world's longest honeymoon, still on it. They left in 2012 for their honeymoon and never came home. They document all of their travels over at HoneyTrek.com. They've written a couple books for National Geographic. And if you want a podcast to get you fired up about achieving your next big travel dream, this is the show for you. I wouldn't be surprised if I get a flood of emails afterwards with people saying, this show helped me get the kick in the butt I needed to book that dream trip. And a ton packed into this episode. I'll share with you why I published it today specifically, and much more, all happening right now. So buckle up, strap in. Thanks for being here, and welcome to the Zero to Travel podcast, my friend.
You're listening to the Zero to Travel podcast, where we explore exciting travel-based work, lifestyle, and business opportunities, helping you to achieve your wildest travel dreams. And now your host, world wanderer and travel junkie, Jason Moore.
Hey, it's Jason here with ZeroToTravel.com. Welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out, letting me bring a little travel into your ears today. This is the show to help you travel the world on your terms, to fill your life with as much travel as you desire, no matter what your situation or experience. Again, Mike and Anne here from HoneyTrek.com. They have those 2 books I mentioned, Comfortably Wild. It's an award-winning guidebook and the first ever written on glamping, which is a hugely trending travel style. Of course, they have their book, Ultimate Journeys for Two, about couples travel, which is a bestseller. And they have their 10 plus years of experience as nomads, bringing all of this to this conversation you're going to hear today. So plenty of wisdom packed into this one and a lot of fun. They're just a great couple to hang out with. And I hope you enjoy hanging out with us for the next hour or so as we dive into various topics, including some of their favorite glamping destinations, favorite spots for connecting with nature, connecting with yourself, and so on. We talk about how they manage being vegan and vegetarian on the road. They talk about building a life of travel that is aligned with your values and your sort of desired lifestyle in a way, kind of trying to balance all that and so much more. And the reason why I'm publishing this one today is because it is my birthday today at the time of publishing this. It's a big one. And I wanted to put this one out today specifically because I thought, wow, as I was reflecting on this, travel has been such a gift for me in my life. I cannot imagine my life without having had the incredible travel experiences I've gotten the privilege to have, the people I've met, the places I've gotten to visit. And it's really ingrained in who I am today. And that's why I wanted to put this one out today, because travel changed my life. And I think Mike and Anne do such a great job of firing us up to get out there and to explore. And I know at least one person after listening to this is going to get so fired up they're going to book a trip. And that will give them a chance to have that impact that travel provides. And that's why I wanted to publish this one today. So embrace the gift of travel. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, you can sign up for our free newsletter over at zerototravel.com/newsletter. Stick around on the back end of this one. I will leave you with a quote to wrap it up. For now, please enjoy my conversation with Mike and Anne, and I will see you on the other side, my friend. Cheers. Mike and Anne, welcome back to the Zero to Travel podcast, my friends. Welcome back. Nice
Great
to see you.
man. Thanks for having us back on the show.
We're pumped.
Well, I mean, it's long overdue. And the last time we got to see each other was we finally got to meet in person. Newsflash for everybody listening. We were in Bulgaria. You guys were tearing up the slopes and I was trailing behind, trying to keep up. No, it was such a pleasure to just get to hang out in that way. And since then, you probably couldn't even tell me how many places you've been to.
Yeah, because that was 2 years ago now. Wow. Yeah,
After Bulgaria, we did a big road trip around.
to get to Bulgaria, we road trip from Germany. So that's through the Czech Republic, Hungary, Romania. So we turned that into like a 3-month adventure. We try and do that when we have a big trip on the books. We're like, what's nearby and how can we overland this? So that turned into an awesome East European adventure.
We just upgraded on Buddy the Camper just a couple weeks ago. Our new license plate arrived and it's SLO Travel. So SLO TRVL. So
Not randomly, right? I'm guessing not randomly.
not randomly. It was a license plate, but it's twofold because one, Buddy the Camper is pretty slow because he's a 1985 Toyota with 4 cylinders. So he goes slow uphill, but then when we're abroad, we like to travel slow and go overland and make the most of it, like Anne was saying.
We were in Bulgaria for 10 days and we got to, we did the hot springs skiing thing, got to hang out, and it was super cool group of people, awesome dynamic. Then I was just like, wow, I just got like a 10-day peek into like what you guys are just like normally doing, which is your regular life. I mean, granted, you were on a bit of a break then because you're creating while you're traveling. And I mean, you guys have been doing it for so long now. Famously, like on your epic honeymoon that's never ended, longest honeymoon ever. Is there like a Guinness record associated with that? Maybe
Not yet. Actually, pre-COVID, to get a Guinness record, somebody needed to be in attendance for the entire length of said record. So let's say it's pogo sticking across America. You needed to have somebody with you for the whole month or whatever. So we didn't want to have somebody on our...
kind of like a serious third wheel situation on a
Awkward.
honeymoon. Have a witness.
But since COVID, they've changed the rules where now, as long as you can document that you've beaten this record, and we can document that we've not had a home or an apartment and been on our honeymoon for, right now it's this January, it'll be the end of year 13.
The next September is 5,000 days. So
Yes.
we're going to make it to 5,000. Feeling strong.
So maybe we'll apply for the Guinness record on day 5,000 of this honeymoon.
Yeah, that's epic. I mean, it does sound like it could make for a good Saturday Night Live skit, like the Guinness record person trailing along, and it's like your first night of marriage. You're going back to the hotel room. Somebody's sitting there with a pen and paper.
Yeah.
That's my other dream, is to be on Saturday Night Live. Not because we were funny enough, but it's that we haven't had television for those 12 years either. But if we watch anything, it's like our little moment of zen is we'll watch the cold open of SNL as like our regular little like moment of joy.
I need comedy in my life. Like, we all need company in our lives. It's just, let's preface this with like the privilege hashtag first world problems thing, right? You guys have this amazing job, but we all know, like, I know somebody who's creating and travel as well. Like, there's parts of this that it's a job. Like, you have a job to do. There's, you're trying to get these partnerships and collaborations. You guys are working on some exciting projects, which we'll talk about today. Even though, that job might involve going to like incredible glamping destinations all over and traveling, it's still like, is there a part where you kind of get like burned out on sort of creating the content and the business side of things, and just like, man, I just want to like sleep in Buddy and not have to worry about all this other stuff. Buddy the camper, by the way, I should preface, when I say sleep in Buddy, I'm talking about a camper. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's not like what was the Tauntaun, right, in Star Wars, where he actually sleeps inside the Tauntaun. It is not a Tauntaun situation.
Nice reference, Mike. Now, everybody knows we're Gen X now.
Exactly.
I never know in my head, so I was like, okay, whatever he said.
And first time watching Star Wars was at a glamping camp that we were reviewing for Comfortably Wild, the book we wrote, and we were up in the Pacific Northwest, and they gave you, like, optional, but to bring back to your room, you could bring back a TV that had the VHS cassette right in the TV. And you could
like 1,000 VHS.
Yeah, they like bought out a Blockbuster.
Free anymore. Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, do you want one of these?" And I was like, "Anne has not watched the original Star Wars." So I basically bribed her. I got like this foot bath thing with salts and like whatever, like the whole.
He had me hostage, my feet in a warm bath, and I was like, fine, I'll watch Star Wars. He only talked about it for like the 12 years we've been together.
But it was on like an old VHS, so there was like, the lines moving, but it was awesome. It was very apropos.
What did you think, Anne?
The foot bath helped. Oh, I have to say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you were describing that, I was just getting the, just the holding the VHS tape and the sound of it going in and all that stuff. It takes you back.
Be kind and rewind, yeah.
Another one, and this is kind of all related to beating the burnout, but another camp that we just reviewed called Freight, which is up in Leadville, Colorado. And we didn't know this when we booked this place, but we always like staying in cool accommodations. And this was all the old like mining houses and houses from the railroad that they would store stuff in, and they reclaimed them and turned them into these really cute little cabins right along the railroad. And the moral of my story about the VHS tapes is we checked in and they had a record player there. And we're like, oh, that's a cute little prop. And then there's a little sign on it like records are under the desk. So we started breaking out these old records, and you hear the little crackle going around, and it kind of brings you back to your grandma's house or whatever, some beach house where you had a record player. And it was just so cool to sit there and play through all these records and just listening to the old tunes.
And doing things in like analog is really good for the brain sometimes. Just makes you slow down and enjoy like the simple pleasures of like the novelty of a record going around versus like the eternal Spotify we have going in the rest of our lives. Just makes you like hear and experience things differently.
Or the stress of like Instagram. So we have an Android phone, and we have this theory that Instagram is built for iPhone because we constantly are having problems uploading reels, getting sound to work, getting captions to work. So like probably our biggest source of burnout is like having to repeat Instagram things.
Like when you're trying to be efficient, you're just like, seriously, like just like stupid hiccups that get in the way. But I think with burnout though, it's about, we spend a lot of our time in nature, which is nice. So when we are in the camper, we are in the wilds of North America, and just to be like, let's just go for a kayak. Even if we just like bring dinner and float on the water, I just feel like it totally brings your blood pressure down. It's just to like be as outside as much as possible. If we're going to do anything, take a break, like for breakfast or, a little walk around, it's that like reconnecting with nature definitely resets what we do. And we're fortunate enough to have that access to the outdoors, and we take full advantage of it. And even if it's just like, we have a lot of work to do, but let's put a beautiful view there. So when I look up or just want to take a breath, like I'm in full position to appreciate it. So that connection to the outdoors has been huge in our kind of go lives. It's still finding that mountain, lake, and
I think when we combo nature with, even if we're in a city, or in a certain country for a while, like do some house sitting, that helps break it up too. So we're not always Airbnbs and go every 2 days finding a new spot. So having house sitting as like an arrow in our quiver.
Which is, we're super passionate about house sitting because it's also afforded so many amazing local experiences. So unlike, booking a hotel, obviously you're in a neighborhood, you have an immediate connection to your neighbors because they know that homeowner, they know that dog. So people are looking out for you. You quickly get that invite to dinner or find out about like the neighborhood festival or whatever it is. So we've house sat in Portugal, Croatia, Romania, all over the US. And it's just been a great way to kind of drop in and it's just kind of like everything's all set up. You have a house that works and a community. So that's really been good for us. And we don't do it too often, but I really value the 2 or 3 that we do a year.
Yeah. You mentioned, being fortunate to have the views and be close to nature quite often, but also there's an intention behind kind of what you guys do that you've niched down to, let's say, glamping as one, like what you mentioned your book, Comfortably Wild, or Ultimate Journeys for Two, which puts you in some of these nice places. And it's part of kind of what you guys do, right? Like you found sort of your space in the travel niche, but not just found it like from a business standpoint, but you found it in terms of like, it's aligned with your values and the lifestyle you want to live while you're traveling. And that's super inspirational. Not everybody listening is, creating a business in the travel industry. But if you're creating something or some kind of lifestyle, you have the ability to puzzle it together as like almost like taking the meta view of like your life as an art project. And you're like, how am I going to like piece this together and like make it in a way that it's all like kind of working as holistically as possible. Like obviously, things ebb and flow. Like nobody likes to do taxes. There's like parts of life that are just, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, you're still going to come across challenges and stuff. To me, I'm really inspired in how much you're aligned with your core values. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that. What kind of advice would you give to others that are looking to kind of like build their life in that way?
Part of it is that because it was never meant, HoneyTrek was never meant to be a business. It was truly this epically exciting way to start our lives together, was to go on this around the world trip. And we had saved and planned for it. So we didn't have the stress of like, oh, we got to hit these, this much money and to be successful. Or people who have gotten in later because they see these Instagrammers and they're like, oh, that's a quick way to make money. I was like, no. Like you cannot get into this for the money.
Or even like free trips,
Yeah.
I like free trips. Like I like travel. You need to.
We do it because we truly still love, travel and also spending this time together. So we have made that, like, I think it came from the heart that, if we don't have a gig or whatever, we're still traveling anyway because we genuinely enjoy that experience. And it's helped us to live a lot more simply too, because we knew we weren't going to be getting paychecks anymore on a regular basis. So we're like, we got to sort of pare down to what matters. Like, it's not about fancy things. It's not about, just kind of streamlining our life to just like fantastic experiences and quality time. And that has sort of brought the stress level down to go, yeah, we don't need to make $1 bajillion to be happy. We can find the simplicity and just like, in being in nature and being with interesting people, and that expectation is lower. So it's easier to meet.
And just being flexible too. Like I think people always look at it like, wow, this is amazing that you can do this. Like it like you were alluding to earlier, it looks great, all these photos and the places you go. But obviously you're only seeing kind of the highlights on social, and you're not seeing like getting stuck at a bus station or Buddy being broken down on the side of the road.
And that stuff. But yeah.
I mean, you see a little bit of that, but just, being flexible and not expecting everything to be perfect, or also having an expectation to live up to someone else's life, someone else's expectation of how you should live, that you should have a house, that you should make X dollars, that you should constantly be climbing a corporate ladder. Like people often get those things, or that you need to have kids, or that you need to have a ski house, or whatever things you like are brought up with these things because it's just part of the machine. To feel like if that's not your space of joy, to break free from that and don't be like beholden to what all your friend circle's doing, because there is real joy out there. And I think to your point earlier about jobs, some people do like doing taxes, right? Like accountants, like they've found their sweet spot. So it is really important to find what brings you joy at work too, because for most people, us included, it's 70-80% of your week is work. And if you can find some joy in that and find something that maybe doesn't make the most money, but that brings you more joy and it makes you more holistic, and that you can come home happy and not just like stressed about work and offloading all your stress on your partner. If you can find joy in that workspace, I'm not saying it's going to be all fun, all the time, but finding joy there, I think, is a pretty important thing. Um, and then also, to Anne kind of alluded to it before, is bringing your expense rate down, and like not having this high burn where you need to have a high income to match that burn rate. That's a real big thing that people don't talk about enough. We always talk about, okay, let's make a little more money and grow and grow. But if you can bring down your expenses, that in turn will bring down your need to either work so much or take a job that you don't like just to afford that lifestyle. And that is a hard thing to wrap your head around, but that really leads, in my mind, to our ability to deal with stress and not feel like we need to, even in our lives, like if there's a project that comes across that doesn't really fit us, or we already feel like we've done too many projects, like we'll turn down a lot of paid travel gigs, as crazy as that sounds. Like, hey, do we want to fly you to Europe? And we'll be like, no, like we're just in our spot. We don't really need that financially. So it allows us to make some decisions that I think lead to a better quality of life.
We'll get back to the interview in just a moment. I know you love earning travel rewards and cash back, and that's why you're going to love Rakuten. With Rakuten, you can earn cash back on everything you need to book your dream trip: hotels, flights, rental cars, experiences, and more, while still booking through your favorite travel sites. And don't worry, cash back can be earned on top of earning the credit card points and the hotel and airline loyalty points that matter most to you, depending on how you make your booking. Plus, with Rakuten, you can also earn cash back on groceries and other purchases like electronics, pet supplies, and more. And the best part, you can join today for free and start earning cash back on top of your travel rewards. Go to Rakuten.com or get the app. That's Rakuten, Rakuten. Rakuten, the most rewarding way to shop.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Now, back to the show. I mean, you could almost say, the whole thing started with just this pure intention, which from that caused you to sort of figure out your priorities and really then take actionable steps to kind of prioritize the things that matter. If we're talking about the art of lifestyle design, this is where like the art meets commerce too, right? Because there's like, you can have this pure intention, but then at some point, perhaps there's some serendipity, but you have to be like sort of setting yourself up for that in a way. And when I talk to people that are having like this chicken and egg conundrum, like I did this morning, earlier today, somebody I talked to who reached out and they were just like, really excited about working in the travel industry. And I try to give the best advice I could, but it's like, there's this part of it where you kind of have to get a little lost and find your way. And nobody can do that, but the people on the journey. It's just really hard to kind of give cut and dry advice for that chicken and egg conundrum of, I want this lifestyle or this thing. But then
the journey is exactly where people are afraid to get lost, right? If people like we give this piece of advice and people are like, I can't take that advice. You mean don't plan my vacation? Don't I need to, I've got 10 days, I've got to make every moment count. And then everyone's so scheduled because they're so scared of something going awry or not being as good as expected. But we really think when you unplan, you're going to invite those experiences of like genuine, human connection and the serendipity of like, I would have never known that there was this festival happening, but I met this person, and then see where your day goes. But that's really scary for people who also the conundrum of 10-day vacations, like, the pressure is really high to make every moment perfect, but it's at a disservice to just, the joy of travel is in the unexpected, and that's a real leap for a lot of people. But once you take it, you're like, this is the way to go. It's much more relaxing. You're not worried about like always catching that next thing and being on time. It's like, the joy of just being in the moment is much easier to achieve.
Which, a little side tip to Anne's point there, I think too many people live their entire life only doing 1 week, 10-day vacations, maybe 2 weeks if you're Norwegian, and hoping that when they're 65, they're going to retire and sunset and go travel the world with their partner. Doesn't happen because the grandkids, hips, second mortgages, whatever things go wrong, that does not happen. Or you're just not in the same mindset and you don't have the same desires as you do when you're 20, 30, 40, or 50, when you're 70 and finally able to retire. But everyone listening to this should put on their life plan to do at least a 2 or 3 month trip somewhere as soon as you can. There will always be work. Your company will hire you back. Another company will hire when you come back from this trip. But put a plan in motion, get a little saving going, start researching it, thinking about a long trip solo, with your partner, with your kids. Like, put it on your books. Don't put it off, because that style of travel, the way you will meet people and see a destination, is unlike any trip. I don't care how beautiful or, your previous trips have been. It will be a different style of travel that you will become addicted to, and you will, even if you only do it once for 2 months, you will be such a better person for seeing the world slowly than, like Ann said, rapid fire. Everything's dialed in. The cab picks you up. You go to this, fancy restaurant that you flew there to do. Like, you will see the world and people in a different way, and it'll just change your life. So put that on your bucket list. Not any certain destination. Add to your bucket list a multi-month trip anywhere in the world.
Amen.
Amen.
Preaching the gospel of travel. No, I love it. For those listening, everything you two just said, take it to heart. If you haven't done that yet, I 110% agree. A part of that unplanning and sort of like openness, and also as you're running a business, I'm sure you've come across this where like there's times, I know I have at least, maybe you guys have not, but these times where like, oh, I don't know, like I don't know where the next thing's coming from, actually. Like, I don't really have anything sort of lined up. And actually, this happened pretty recently, and I was just like kind of able to relax into it, because I feel like I've developed this sort of muscle of, I don't want to say faith because that's associated with religion, but like trust, like in that, okay, there's like an element of trust that things are going to work out. And that can be hard to foster in some ways. Of course, you can learn that through experience. I'm just wondering for you guys, like, how does that work? Is that something, do you kind of believe like that's like a muscle you can develop? Is it something you have to like, a skill you have to hone? What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think it's also, people, especially in travel, like it's so gig based, and it's like you have to be in the place. And sometimes people like wait around. Well, it's not a paid thing, so I'm not going to go, whatever. Like, do the experiences you want to have in your life. Like a good example recently was we did get commissioned by Travel Malaysia to go and explore the country. And it was an unpaid thing. But we're like, well, we want to go there either way and we'll make it work. And they had a 10-day trip plan. Well, we stretched that into 3 months. We're like, can we make the return trip in it's literally 3 months from now? And they're like, okay, you're on you though. Like, and then we're like, we had the faith that it would all work out. And we're like, well, if we go do cool things, like there'll always be great stories to tell and wonderful people to meet. So then that turned into 3 other projects just by then taking the leap to get there, rather than staying home and go, oh, is that financially makes sense and blah, blah, blah. Just show up, just showing up and will present opportunities, but you have to get out the door to do that. So it turned into like a great series of gigs, but we were having fun either way. And so that was like, it was going to pan out, but he was just like, just go. I think that's also the advice is just go.
I love that. One of the things that really impressed me outside of your incredible auras and personalities and the people that you are is the fact that, when we were together in Bulgaria, you guys told me you hadn't like used a plastic bottle or like, I don't even think a straw. I don't know. You can clarify, but you've been traveling full time for did you say 13 years now?
It'll be 13 in January.
Yeah. I think about you guys often because sometimes I like inadvertently even get like a plastic thing. I'm like, no, I wanted it. And it's like, oh, it's too late. They already served it to me. And I'm like, how are Mike and Anne doing this? So I just want to hear for those of like, yeah, just give us the overview on like your feelings around that and what you're doing and kind of how you do that and your sort of philosophy behind it. And I think it's empowering because we're all individuals that can like have the ability to do this, take these types of decisions. And if we all do that, it makes a big impact. But yeah, looking for some practical advice as well.
So a little side story, we're in Virginia Beach right now for our cousin's wedding. And I went up to I asked the waiter, I was like, oh, can I get a glass of water? She said, oh, they're only at the bar. So I went up to the bar. I said, can I get a glass of water? And she reaches in and she grabbed a little single-use bottle and she was about to crack it. And I was like, whoa. I was like, can I just get it out of a pitcher or, like a normal just glass of water? She's like, oh, all we have is these. I was like, okay, well, then I'll just take a cup, go into the bathroom, fill it up, and drink my water that way. And just a small anecdote, but to your point, like sometimes that's all they have or that's the easy option. And but stateside or abroad, we have not had a single-use bottle of water or cracked one, even if we're dying of thirst on a bus or we get to a hotel at 2 a.m. and it's in the room, since February of 2012. So we left in Jan of 2012 on this honeymoon, and
That's
first
insane.
country was Brazil. Had a few single-use bottles there.
So they say, of course, you can't drink the water,
Yeah.
right? And so
We're used to normal travel. We don't want to get sick, so we're going to do bottled water because, that's just what you do. And then we saw how many single-use bottles were in the rivers, on the streets, in the forests. Even the trash cans were then getting brought around the back and just dumped into a pile. So we realized like we should try something. We should see if we can go for the rest of this country with just using our Nalgene and this little SteriPen, which is a little UV light that we carry still to this day. So to purify the water. So we were filling up at the tap station, whether it was the Rio de Janeiro bus station or a little hostel we were staying at or Airbnb. And we didn't get sick for the rest of Brazil. And we were like, wow, that was pretty cool. We went the next 2 weeks.
Out of the Amazon River to really see if this was going to take us down, and even that. And there was a lady washing dishes just upstream. I'm like, this is not a great idea, but he was like, we're gonna try it. We gotta see how far we can push it, which is Mike's MO for everything, by the way. But we had literally never been sick from water, and we're just like, we didn't want to contribute to this problem, and it's really not that hard once you wrap your head around. I will carry a bottle with me. And also, don't be afraid to ask. It's not that we use this UV light every single time. There is potable water in many sources. One example would be at any given restaurant, they might be selling bottled water, but they are not giving every single employee bottled water. They have a solution. Hi, would you mind filling this up? Do you have one of those, coolers in the back that you could fill up from a jug? No problem. So it seems sometimes they're confused, but if you ask nicely, they'll be like, yeah, one moment. And they'll come back with potable water. So, gyms of hotels always have refillable water stations. There's ways, it's about asking for it and being prepared if there is no solution like carrying a UV purifier. Lark has become a good one too. That's a water bottle that actually has the UV light built into the cap. So we kind of have both going for us these days.
LARQ is Lark. They're up on Amazon for like $60. Same with a SteriPen. So we carry both of those with us just to have a little backup. But yeah, since Brazil, we've been now 79 countries without a single use plastic water bottle. So all tapped through China, Bolivia, 8 countries in Africa. We just did India with only tap water, doing our little UV trick. So it's doable. Don't be scared.
And then in the plastic, I know you said about they're like, oh crap, they've already given me this plastic thing. So yeah, it's a little bit of like prevention strategy of just be like, oh no, I'm good on the silverware. Like I've got my own. We also carry reusable silverware with us. Who needs a straw anyway? So just kind of like see that the world wants to give you plastic so badly. Know this about the world and just try and be, proactive to say, oh, I'm good. I don't need that disposable anything.
Obviously carrying a bottle on the airport when you go out on a hike, just remembering like your water bottle, like water is life. We all know it. And if you bring your bottle with you, there's always a place to either fill it up or purify it. As long as you've got that with you, then you'll be good.
I love it so much. It's so impressive. And the fact that you have that like crazy decade plus streak alive. If you're listening, take the inspiration from it. We can all just, if we can all do a little bit better, even like not, maybe there's going to be a time when you're on a bus and you're so thirsty you just can't even take it anymore. But I mean, if you guys can do that and you haven't been sick through 79 countries, we know it's doable, like you said. So it's going to be like we look now at people like old footage of like everybody smoking on a plane or something, and you're like, what were they thinking? It's going to be like that with plastic, I think. I mean, there've been so many times where you guys know, you traveled around, you're just like, why? Like, I remember being in Mexico and they had glass plates, but then they would put like plastic bags over each plate to like put the food on, I guess, so they don't have to wash the plates or use it.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm just like,
Exactly.
man, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, I know.
I know there's a lot of plastic out there. And then when you go, we do a lot of scuba diving and snorkeling all over the world. And we could be in the most remote place, in Micronesia where there's not an airport for 1,000 miles. And there's plastic baggies floating along the reef and fish are nibbling at it. So it's definitely a big problem. We all need to do better at home while we're traveling, especially because there is not as good. Even if you see a recycling can, a lot of times that just ends up in a river somewhere.
And it comes down to reducing, because recycling should be the last resort, right?
Yeah.
It's just consuming less of it, being more resourceful of finding a reuse in things. Yeah.
Same thing with food too. Like another decision we made for purely environmental reasons. It's now turned into a lot of other things, but we also gave up eating fish, eating meat, eating like any animals. We don't consume dairy or anything that either kills an animal or uses them.
Today is our
yes.
Yeah.
October 15th. We were just talking about it yesterday. October 15th of 2015 is when we went vegan, plant-based. Thanks to my mom who made us watch Cowspiracy, which is a highly recommended movie. There's nothing about violence or abuse of animals, but it's about the environmental impacts of consuming animals. And yet October 15th is our vegan anniversary.
8 years.
8 years now. So yeah, super proud of that one. And yeah, that's been a whole wild journey too.
Yeah. On that tip for people listening and, everybody, and I know you guys have the same mentalities, like to each their own in terms of choices and stuff like that. It's just that if you are vegetarian or vegan and you're going to these meat heavy countries and you get like invited to dinner, let's say, and that's what they have. And, you want to like have that local experience and you don't want to offend anybody. I'm sure you guys have been in this situation. You must have. Like, how do you handle that? What's your advice? And that could be for anybody on like a restrictive diet, gluten-free or whatever. They're just like,
well, the good news is,
getting easier.
It's certainly getting easier. And the 8 years of going vegan, the options are increasing tremendously. It used to be like very fringe, and now a lot of places at least have one option on the menu. It's also good to think that about traditional foods. Meat has historically and still should be a luxury item, and many traditional dishes, because it's just the way locals truly eat, that meat was like a once a year thing or, a once a month thing. So the rest of those days, they're doing some kind of other dish that's maybe more potato based or, working into other grains and using root vegetables, that kind of thing. So like Rwanda, for example, and you go to a restaurant of a nice place, meat all day. You go to a village, they're like, there's no meat on the menu. Like they've actually, the Rwandan diet is very vegan by nature, just because that was the more affordable and available ingredient. So if you kind of look to like traditional dishes, they would never use the word vegan. That word throws people off hard, actually. So one way we also handle it is we say, what vegetables do you have today? Not what vegan things do you have on the menu. They will look at you like you're insane. But if you just start talking in terms of vegetables and grains, of course, everyone has those things.
And there's always sides. When we go to somebody's house and they're hosting you for a meal, it's never just like a big pork thing in the middle of the table with no sides, So we'll just eat the sides. We'll politely, we're not going to say, oh, we're vegan, like we can't be sitting at this table. If someone's hosting us, we'll eat the sides, we'll enjoy, we'll have good conversation. The other fun thing about being plant-based and vegan as we travel is it just opens a lot more conversation with people. So you're walking along and you're hungry and you're not just like, oh, there's something, I'll just get this meat-based thing. You then ask that person, hey, do you know anybody who does a cart around with some, vegetarian options? And then they'll be like, oh yeah, 2 blocks down, I know this old lady, she does like, these vegan tamales or whatever, just like veggie this, veggie that. So then you go there and, so it makes it a little bit like not like a hunt, but like you get more conversation going as opposed to just choosing the quick and easy thing. You actually interact with the locals. You see somebody young on the street. Hey, do you know any cool places? We were just in Guadalajara, right? Was that argument? It's a couple of years ago now, but it was the most plant-based restaurants, and not for tourists. These are like way out of the tourist zone. But there was like on every street corner, there was a plant-based thing with just the most amazing meals. And some locals turned us onto this area in town, and we just,
Also, Happy Cow, if you haven't heard of it, is it's an amazing app for finding, plant-based options nearby. So it's all like GPS based, and then you can see and you can get specific about vegetarian or
gluten-free too.
Yeah, I think they do as well. So that's been a good way to navigate it, because places aren't listed as vegan restaurants, and I don't expect them to be, but you just need one option on the menu and then you're taken care of. So that's been a nice way to navigate, where you would have never guessed that this, random Italian place, you wouldn't have chosen that first, but Happy Cow cross-reference. Oh yeah, fantastic. They at least have these 2 dishes.
We'll get back to the interview in just a moment.
This episode is brought to you by Fandango. People say fans are too distracted these days, but the truth is, when a great movie hits the screen, you show up, you stay glued, invested, part of the story. And without fans like you, there'd be no cinema magic, no shared moments. So head to Fandango.com to get tickets, stream, or rent or buy top movies and series. Fandango loves fans.
Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. You can add protein cold foam to your favorite drink or try one of our new protein lattes or matcha. Try it today at Starbucks.
Now, back to the show. Yeah, that idea of sort of taking like a perceived limitation and turning it into an opportunity for exploration. Let's say, like talking to the cart lady and saying, oh, wait, where can I get a vegan or a vegetarian option, and just kind of making it more of like, all right, instead of like looking at this as a limitation, let's incorporate this into the travel experience and make it something it's a little more fun. I mean, I think that advice we can pull out and apply to a lot of different things and challenges people might have on the road, which is great.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's talk about glamping, which you guys specialize in. And I think I do want to preface this part of the conversation with just this idea that, if you're listening, whether you're into glamping or not, and you can define what that means if you want, it's not everybody's bag to like camp at all. Some people like to camp, but it's only going to be rugged camping. It's not going to be like yurts with beds. I'm not doing that, whatever. Like everybody has their own thing. But I think the spirit behind what you guys do around glamping is what you talked about, which is just like getting into these places that are unique places to stay. You got like some local things around you, and oftentimes you're going to be near nature. So that's sort of like what underpins like the whole glamping thing. Because I don't want to turn anybody off if they're listening and they're like, glamping's not for, I feel like there's like a much sort of more all-encompassing travel experience associated with glamping. You just happen to be staying at glamping places often instead of maybe in the backcountry, which I know you guys probably do that stuff too. But actually, I'm curious about the glamping industry, like what you think has changed in the last few years. And then we'll get into some of your recommendations for like specific places people may want to go for X, Y, and Z.
Glamping it started this novelty of like, sort of a fancy tent in the woods that appears. Glamping has definitely evolved to being, and we always thought it this way, it was about these unique experiences in the outdoors. They tend to be these wonderful, like, small businesses and really interesting creative people who had this dream to build this thing that was like on a total whim. and share it with people. So I feel like the people behind it have been just as special as the places themselves, because it's kind of goes the other way from, big box hotels and this corporate experience, or, and as those big hotels try to make things more bespoke, you're like, who is the person behind this? I always feel like in glamping, I know where it came from, which is really special. And it's also, it's a funny word. We'll totally admit glamping's a funny word, but I promise, like it's the quality of, the type of accommodation in terms of its creativity, the way it makes you feel, the way that kind of distills it down to pure travel experiences, that it's not about how luxurious something is, it's how thoughtful it is. And I feel like that continues to impress and surprise me when people just like want you to have this incredible experience. It feels much more genuine as a style of accommodation than, trying to like outbeat red counts and that kind of thing.
And it's a connection to nature that is really hard to get. I mean, you can get that same connection when you're camping, but sometimes when you're camping, you're putting a lot of your stress and energy into setting up camp, finding camp, hauling all your gear there, that becomes your adventure, which is its own fun adventure. But with glamping, it kind of handles all those things. You drive or walk out into the woods and your accommodations are set up, your bed's there, there's a bottle of wine if you want it, and then you can put your energy into a big hike or a trek or a river raft or just a nice foraging walk around the property. So it affords you, it removes some of that stress, especially in a family or a couple situation where one person is not as diehard about, digging a cat hole to go to the bathroom in the woods. Like it removes those things and it lets you focus on maybe a little bit of your relationship or your relationship with the nature and the animals. So to us, like it just removes those barriers and it opens up some new activities. As Anne pointed out, the proprietors of these glamping camps really care about this land. They're not, they're not doing it just to make money or just to, churn bed nights. They want you to experience their land or their region of the country or the world.
And that respect for the land too. I mean, in its best form, glamping is a truly sustainable form of travel where it's meant to tread lightly on the land, work with the existing landscape. It's that respect for nature. So that, and we in terms of the industry, we attend and speak at the glamping show, which happens in Denver every October. This was our 7th year going, basically since its inception. And we feel like that message is really important, to not just try and like out fancy things. It's like, let's go back to like why this matters, because you love the outdoors and we care for it in the way that we design and we present it to guests. So
regenerative travel, if anybody hasn't heard that, if you're in the industry of whether it's hotels or tourism, regenerative travel is this great ethos of, we are going to bring our business or our glamping camp to this land. And our goal, our overall mission is to make this land, both for flora, fauna, our guests, our neighbors, make it better than when we arrived. So yes, we are having a footprint on this land, either as a tour operator or as a glamping camp or a hotel. But can we make this land better? Can we make this community, this environment stronger for us being here rather than being extractive? So it's a really interesting concept that we love, and most glamping camps kind of have that as their core mission.
Yeah. You mean the big chain hotels aren't doing that too?
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to, like, no. I mean, obviously.
We're not throwing all of our potential partners onto the bus right now.
No, but it's important for them even to have it as part of their understanding. How does this impact your neighbors? Like, do some meetings before you move in there. See what the land used to be. See what jobs and what opportunities can be impactful, and also just thinking about your impact as a hotel or a tour operator on the environment. How much waste are you bringing in? How many single-use plastics are you bringing in and then needing to dispose of? So there's a lot of things to think about, and it's good to have it on the mind.
Yeah, I love that. It's cool to hear, because you guys are so on top of that, being part of the industry and then having gone to like the trade shows and all that. So you're really in that world. We have these choices as individuals to choose like where we're going to spend our dollars or what we can support and all that type of stuff. But like big change will come from systemic change. And it's cool to hear, like the ethos behind glamping. I would imagine as people sort of resonate with that, bigger corporations start to notice like, oh, this is this more like sort of bespoke experience or regenerative travel and these concepts. Like I imagine some of that will be spilling over into more of the sort of the bigger corporations, and it's just can't help itself, right? Like it's kind of market demand.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, and that's the thing is that all the virtuoso studies and whatnot, it's that travelers want to make the right choice. We just have to make it easy and fun for them to do that. And we've become like really honed in on that concept because I think doing the right thing actually usually is the more fun thing. And it's just about like supporting the kind of outfitters who are, if we're going to go on that river raft, why not do the one that's, employing local people who also has like, river cleanups as a part of their initiative, like that's already baked in. So if you think about your choices in travel, it's where you sleeping, eating, shopping, and, the adventures you're going on, right? So when you're looking, just be more mindful of like who you're going with. It's not that you should make volunteering like the focus of your travel, but maybe there is a way to get involved that's actually really cool. Like what's a fun example? Okay, so say for example, Mendocino Coast Gardens is the number one thing to do in Mendocino in California. And when you look on TripAdvisor, for example, but we saw that to go to these actually kind of expensive but amazing gardens, they had a volunteer day where we got to learn from like the master gardener who was running all of their produce beds and got to learn about like propagating plants and making this whole thing. And then that went to the local food bank. So I learned new skills I'm from this master gardener. I met local people. I got to like get my hands dirty and also gave me free access to the garden afterwards. It's like something you would have done anyway as a traveler, but just approaching it a little bit differently. And then I remember that garden more than the 50 other ones I've been to because I was a part of it in a deeper way. So I think that's a cool travel experience in the end, but it also helped the community.
Yeah, that's an amazing example. It's like paying a bunch of money to get in and walking around and reading the plaques versus like having your hands in the soil and learning from that's pretty awesome. Well, this is what is called voluntourism, I guess, right? I know something you guys are passionate about. Should we get into some glamping recommendations first? I don't want to skip over that.
We can give you a few.
Yeah. Anything in particular you're looking for?
We could start with some of your favorite places for being near outdoor adventures. And maybe that's that combination. It's always great when you like can go on an outdoor adventure and then like have some killer food and drinks afterwards, Yeah. So
I've got an adventurous one. Speaking about places we've been since we saw you in Bulgaria, a couple months ago, we did a project, kind of a top secret project, but I can say what camp we were at. It's this amazing, if anybody's into water sports, whether it's, surfing or supping or just being near the ocean, and also has a dream of going to Indonesia. A lot of people dream of going to Bali because our parents made it sound like the most magical place that now has Bugattis and Prada stores downtown. And maybe don't totally skip Bali because it is a very unique thing. But there's an island next door to Bali called Sumba.
3 islands.
Yeah, but it's a short hop flight from Bali. And there is a camp there called Nalang Kala. And it is run by this guy, Christian C. and his Kaale, it's his wife, this amazing family. And they run this surf camp, glamping camp, open air palapas. It's again, very regenerative. They grow almost all their own produce
they
there.
homesteaded the land. They literally showed up there with they lived on it as a tent. Yeah. And they built it with intention, being like, we want to be completely sustainable and that we are doing this whole permaculture, massive garden. We're going to build in the local style, using local materials, really kind of thought through the whole thing. And also just make guests a part of it. It's very nice, but it's also very comfortable. It's casual. You all dine together at a long table. We got there and people greeted us. We were like, do they work here? No, you're a guest. It was welcome. Hey, it was you were a part of this family immediately. So the whole vibe about yeah, it sort of feels like a community. And then he's like epic surfer, and you know, learning to surf with him, and she's been a yoga teacher forever, and he's
the
like a
island,
premier expert on farming. So the kind of you dive into their world, and I think that's what I love most about the best dubbing in places. It's like it's a world, and you're like you get to be a part of it versus just another guest.
And the island of Sumba is just super cool, top notch,
Stunning.
like untouched.
That
So,
sounds
Like when we actually
perfect.
got off the plane. Oh, sorry, I got to say.
No, go ahead. I just said it sounds perfect. You were painting the picture so well. I went there mentally. Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm about to tell this story. We get off the airplane. We're in our car with us and a couple of video guys on this project we're working on, and we're driving down the road. And all of a sudden, we see like these pickup trucks in front of us, but big lorries. They've got maybe like 20 people in the back, are standing, banging drums. They're like waving swords in the air. They're singing music. They've all got like headbands on, and we go by, and they all start waving at us and banging their drums even louder. And then some of them are like kind of doing this. So then we follow this pickup truck, and we see this huge like celebration. There's maybe 300 people there on the side of the road, all milling about. And we tell our driver, we're like, we need to pull over and like see what this is about. And he's like, are you sure? So we pull over there, and we're literally it's us. The four of us are the only four tourists, white people in this whole thing. And they see us coming down the road, and this old gentleman comes over and he grabs us, and we're kind of standing on the side, just being respectful. We don't know what this is. It could be somebody being born, somebody died, who knows, just a religious festival. So we're on the side just watching, and this old guy comes over to us and just grabs our hand and like pulls us in, and he waves to some children to get chairs, puts us right in the front of this celebration.
So they wrapped us in like these, local sarongs. Like, okay, now you're dressed. Here we go.
And he like sits us down. He goes and gets some tea. He goes and get the old ladies to bring us this little betel nut that they chew. And she's like, so they put us right in the front of this celebration. And he's like telling his son, kid, and the kid's like, oh, you're a special guest. You're a special guest. So they saw it as like an honor that we were there. It was like a special thing. It was actually his mom had just passed away. So it was his mom's wake. And
how they see it's like a celebration of life,
Yeah.
right? There's dancing, there's singing, it was really beautiful. And just, it's the more off the beaten track you go, the more like these experiences happen. Like, it's kind of funny that we've been around Europe, but meanwhile, like, that's not where we gravitate towards, because I feel like the likelihood of these like genuine human experiences, other places that don't get beaten down with 1,000 tourists a day, they're actually genuinely excited to have that connection, to get to know you as well. So that's why it's fun to kind of that magic of travel kind of exists in the fringes.
And I think that leads to like another fun takeaway for anyone listening is that don't fear the unknown, right? And don't fear people who are different than you. Like, oh, these guys are there and they've got swords in their pocket and they're different color skin than me, and I'm in Sumba, Indonesia. So like somebody might be like, wow, that sounds really scary. But people are so like joyous and friendly, and they want to share their culture. And if you go in there with a good attitude and a smile, like just so many doors open up, and the media wants to make you, have this fear, and you're kind of like, okay, well, I'll go to somewhere that I know, like Dublin or Paris, or, somewhere I've seen my friends go and they came back okay. So like, but we also just have this fear of the other that is completely unfounded. And when you get out there on your 2 or 3 month slow travel trip to Southeast Asia, you'll realize that, you'll see that, that the world is a really beautiful place, and it's not as scary as, as everybody makes there, as you might think in the recesses of your mind. So yeah, that was just kind of reaffirmed that thing that we've known and that we love and kind of want to share with others.
What about a place where you're like, okay, I want to hole up. I'm going to write my first novel, or I'm going to write a bunch of songs, or I'm going to brainstorm the next version of my life. Some place that you can go that you guys recommend, one of these places that you've been where you're just like, this would be a great place to go and be creative, let's say.
I'll throw this out. It'd be expensive to stay there a long time, write a novel. I'm not going to lie about that. But this place, Open Sky, which is like on the very border of Zion National Park in Utah, they had a different, we like community side of glamping very often, but this place was like, no, I just need my own little oasis. And they had done such a good job. So it's on this, this fantastic red cliffs of Utah, like so you think of Zion with the sandstone. And just like perched on a mountaintop with cool rock formations, and you got like a wooden, cedar hot tub wedged in a cliff, and then there's just like nothing but stars and just that total serenity of like, I'm gonna stay right here. I have everything I need, and it's all just so beautiful, yet so simple at the same time.
So if you're
And
doing the Utah parks, add on a day or two at Open Sky. That was
that would be a splash out kind of place, but it was so good. It was so, so good. We find ourselves in the Southwest a lot. I think we like those desert landscapes because it's just wide open, like raw nature. And I think that Utah is infinite for that kind of inspiration of natural beauty and quiet. So when we kind of have downtime, we find ourselves tooling around the Southwest for that reason, because it's a lot of public land. We don't stay at campgrounds. We just kind of find a little corner of nature where there's no one around. And that's makes it really easy to do that.
So yeah, if you want that peaceful, reflective time in nature, get yourself a van or a little camper. You can rent one. You can get one on Outdoorsy or RV Share, or just buy one and resell it when you're done with your 2-month road trip around the States. But there's just so much public land. You don't need to stay in campgrounds and be next to people running their generators. You can be out in nature. It's safe. Again, there's not wild animals or Wild Bill, wielding an axe coming for you.
Animals, but we've never encountered
We've never encountered an animal. We've never encountered a scary dude in the woods. And we've been doing the camper van thing. I mean, we're in it about half the year, but we've had it for 7 years. And we are in the woods 99% of the time. We're out in wild nature, just down a dirt road, and nothing scary has ever happened. So remove that fear from your mind and just get out into the woods and connect.
I don't typically ask favorite destination types of questions because they're not fair, but it's a different way to frame it that I think can speak volumes about a destination. And so I'm going to give you guys a hypothetical scenario. There is a government official who shows up with a briefcase. You don't know what's in it. They're a representative of all the governments in the world. They say, hey, you two have to stop traveling right now. You're done. You have to live somewhere for 5 years and you can't leave the bounds of that either country or state, or I won't say town. But you're not limited to like seeing your family. They can like fly in and out. You're not like, it's not like a practical question. It's more like if you had to stop and live somewhere for 5 years, you had to, where would it be? And you can each pick a different place. I'm not going to make you get divorced, but you can each different place. Maybe a split time. I don't know.
I'm claiming Mexico first because I know Anne would want to claim it too.
So we can pick the same place.
Mexico is not Cancun. It's not Puerto Vallarta. It's not Cabo. Between those three, I think that, that's most people's Mexican experience. And that is the tequila wedding side of Mexico, which is a side of Mexico, and not saying it's not fun. But if one of those three places is the only place you've touched in Mexico, you need to get back. You need to go to Guanajuato or Oaxaca or Chiapas. Mexico is as diverse as the USA in terms of landscapes, in terms of food.
In terms of culture, it's way more diverse. I mean, I'm fascinated by Mexico is that, each state is so different, and from cuisine, traditions to languages, not just Spanish. We're endlessly fascinated by Mexico. We've probably been to like 23 Mexican states or so, most of it overland. And we've done various house sits where we stay longer in places like San Miguel de Allende and Mazatlan for like months at a time. It just feels very neighborly, like as we are North American, and I think people go like US, Canada, Mexico, we share a lot as North American neighbors. There's a cultural connection there that's familiar, yet so much to learn from each other at the same time. So that it just feel like if we ever do slow down, we kind of feel like that's someplace we could see ourselves long term.
And that's another one of like to not be scared of media reports and somebody was murdered. Two people were murdered in some border town last week. Well, yes, like two people were murdered since this podcast started in Manhattan, but you're not going to Manhattan because somebody. So don't deal drugs. Try not to hang out in border towns or, do anything too shady or be going out at 3 o'clock in the morning looking for something. Just, go there with an open heart and again, a smile and an interest in this local communities. Go to the more remote places, go all over. Don't be flashy.
Because this Baja is like my happy place in so many ways. And it's not Cabo. It's all the stuff in the middle that we're planning a big Baja road trip again this January.
Amazing. I love chatting with you guys. This could go on, but I'm going to respect your time. We're going to have you back on for part 2. And I'm sorry, it's going to have to happen. I'm just going to say that. It's going to have to happen in person.
Part 3.
I have 1 or 2 more questions, but do you guys just want to remind people, we're going to include everything in the show notes, and you heard at the top, but just where people should go to find your stuff? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, if you go, so our blog is called HoneyTrek. So honey like a honeymoon, HONEY, Trek, TREK, not honey truck. So HoneyTrek, like a long trek around the world. If you just go to our.com, you see all our social, but it's HoneyTrek on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, any social you're on. Give us a follow there. Send us a DM on whatever your favorite platform is. If you've heard this podcast, which a lot of people do say Zero to Travel, that you're like our number, because we were on, a couple of years ago and everyone's like, I've heard you on that podcast. That was awesome. So definitely say hello or subscribe to the newsletter that we have over on HoneyTrek. And just ask us travel questions, tips, advice. We do some consulting. So if anybody is thinking about doing a long-term trip and wants to know what it's like to get out the door and how to actually truly put those steps in motion beyond just like a dream, actually help you bring it to reality, we're happy to jump on Zoom and do a little bit of that.
We also do some glamping consulting because it is such a lifestyle business and people are thinking, how do I get into use my family's land that I have or just kind of simplify my life and move out to the woods. So we do some consulting on starting glamping camps and or enhancing the guest experience as well.
And then 2 other plugs. We mentioned Comfortably Wild is our book that's up on Amazon or on our website. And then Ultimate Journeys for 2 is the book we wrote for National Geographic with a lot of our favorite destinations and cool adventures. So
we actually marked this one up because our cousin just got married. And it's really about starting your life of adventure and romance together, not just your honeymoon, but they're about to go on their honeymoon. But we've also marked up with lots of Post-it notes about journeys we hope they take on their whole life together.
Amazing. Yes. National Geographic published authors. We should have mentioned that. Sure. And you guys are the real deal. So if you need some help, definitely reach out. Speaking of, you guys are on the world's longest honeymoon and experts at traveling as a couple, I would say, is a part of your expertise. I just heard this term literally today. I'm part of the HubSpot Trends newsletter, and they sent this email out, and they're talking about different trends. And one of them is there's this term called me-mooner. Have you heard this? It's people who take themselves on vacation like they would a honeymoon. That one was new to me, a me-mooner. So anyway, I'm just throwing it out there because, that meant something different to me when I was growing up. a mooner. I just thought it was funny because all right, if you're listening to this and you're a me-mooner, maybe you want to get in touch with Mike and Anne. They can help you out on plan your me-moon. There you go. There's another package you can offer.
There we go. I've heard of buddy moons is the thing, but me-mooner. Okay, thank you.
Me-mooners a new one. I don't know. They're like, media's labeling, they've come up, just when I think they've come up with every term you could possibly come up with, they come up with a new one. It's unbelievable. Before I let you go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you guys for advice on traveling as a couple, because you've been doing it so long together. And there's a lot of directions we can go here, but I'm just wondering, as you grow as individuals and you're traveling and spending so much time together and you're also working together too, how do you leave space for each other's individual growth? How do you make that work?
It's kind of, we spent literally 24/7 together. And it's a lot of us, it seems like a very intense situation. We don't really think about it that much because we're just kind of have this ebb and flow together. But, sometimes you need a moment and, I feel like taking walks in different directions is very helpful. Be like, yeah, we just need a moment. I'm going this way, you're going that way. And regroup. If say you've gotten a little tiff over something, even just that reset of like a 30-minute walk, you kind of like cool down, you forget what you're mad about, and then you're sort of happy to see each other again. Because when we are apart so infrequently that like even like someone going to the grocery store by themselves feels like, oh hey, it's good to see you again. Where you been for an hour? So you can reset that way. But also it is important to have like, you have your guy friends, your girlfriends, and a lot of us blends, like we generally like each other's friends. It's all one, but I'm like, yes, opportunity for you go do that boys thing. You go, please go. And you're supportive of me in the same way. If I have some fun girls, friends, opportunity, family stuff, go. So it's just knowing that you need that for each other, and to always like, if they feel they need that moment, you let them take that moment.
Yeah. Cool. Are there any sort of like quotes or just like ideas you're living by nowadays that you want to share? Anything come to top of mind? It's always nice to end on a high note. You like that,
Kind of rock a Randy Comathar quote?
It's short.
I don't know. Where is it in the book?
It's a quote that really honestly helped us get on the road and realize that like there's no day too soon to like start traveling and following your own dreams. I think we'll have to paraphrase it badly.
We will. And it's basically...
And the most dangerous risk of all is to spend your life... Oh, no, I messed it up!
Basically to spend your life imagining that you'll be able to buy your freedom later. Like, people think the bigger risk now, to my point earlier, is, I can't quit my job. I've just got to save. I'm on this certain trajectory. It would be a risk to go out and to do a 2-month or a 2-year trip around the world. That would be a big risk. And his quote basically is that the bigger risk is imagining that you'll be able to buy yourself that freedom later, because you won't. Life will change on you. Your dreams will change. Your partner will change. Your health will change. So the much bigger risk is to just save for retirement and hope that you'll be able to travel later. So don't take that risk. Don't take the risk of waiting. It's much less risky to do it now, because not only that, you could see the world when you're 70. Imagine all the stars align and you have money and your health and the same partner, and you can still hike Machu Picchu and go take a little riverboat up the Amazon and drink out of that water with your SteriPen. You may still be able to do that. But even in the dream scenario, the 10% chance that your stars align, then you'll have those experiences for, let's say, 8 to 10 years of your life.
The memories, the learning,
Or you do it now. Even if you're 60 or you're 30 or, whatever age you are now, if you do it next year, you'll have that experience for your entire life, not just the last 8 years of your life. You'll be a better person, more compassionate towards the other. You will see the world in a different way. You will see your own life, your business, your partner in a different way for your entire life, rather than just that last little bit of your life. So don't take that risk of waiting. Do the less risky thing, which is to quit your job, or be prepared when you do get laid off, when you do have that sabbatical, when your boss does tell you, hey, we're downsizing, and you need to, or you move countries or you move cities. There's so many good opportunities to take that gap. That's not quitting, but be prepared to do it. Put it on your list, put it on your dream list, and and don't take the risk of waiting.
Oh, I love it. You're firing me up, and I know there's people listening right now that just needed to hear that. So thank you guys so much. That was epic. I look forward to doing it again soon. Let's do it again.
No, you're awesome, Jason. Thank you for having us.
Us too.
For sure.
Yeah, and cheers to everybody out there. Say hello. Say hello on HoneyTrek. We would love to chat with you and help make some travel dreams a reality. And huge love to everybody out there.
We will be sure to link up to everything in the show notes. Thank you guys so much. Always a pleasure. See you soon.
Thanks, Jason.
Bye, everybody.
There you have it. Thank you to Mike and Anne from HoneyTrek.com for stopping by the show. Are you fired up? I thought you might be. I was coming off this one feeling so high, and I'm so excited to finally get to share it with you on my birthday. If you want to send me a gift, please, go ahead. Leave a review. shoot me an email. Get in touch. This is a community-powered show, after all, and I love to hear from listeners. And you can sign up for our free newsletter if you want to do one thing over at zerototravel.com/newsletter. It's free to keep in touch over there. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Francis E. Willard, who said, "The world is wide, and I will not waste my life in friction when it could be turned into momentum." Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Peace and love to you and yours. Cheers.
This podcast has been brought to you by ZeroToTravel.com. Ideas and advice to make your travel dreams a reality.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.